All right, guys, welcome to the Robo Show. I'm your host, Chad Robichaux, and I'm super excited about today's guest. Man, I've been excited about all our guests. We always have super cool people here on here, and then I got a lot of people that are just like guys that I consider friends. And so Mike Simpson is he was on Hunting Hitler with my buddy Tim Kennedy. They did it on History Channel. Great. If you want to go back and binge watch something, Hunting Hitler was awesome. But Mike Simpson was he's an Army Ranger, Green Beret, and he's a doctor of emergency medicine that was assigned to JSOC, and he was out, doing operations at JSOC as a doctor of emergency medicine at 48 years old, going down range, doing combat operations. An incredible human being, really strong mind and body, but also just highly, highly intelligent. And so I want to talk to him about, mindset, about being, older guy, still doing amazing things. He just wrote a book on it that we're going to talk about. And so without further ado, let's talk to Mike. Hey, so welcome on, Mike. We're gonna I want to first let everybody know about your book, Honed. You can get it on Amazon, right?
Yep. Amazon, also barnesandnoble.com. I think any place you can buy books online, you can pretty much get it.
So today we're gonna talk a lot about your book and talk about being old guys and
something we know about.
Being alive. So yeah, thanks for coming on.
Thanks for having me, brother. Appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely. So first, just tell everybody that might not know who you are. I think most of my audience probably knows who you are, but those who might not know who you are, how you got to putting your book out about Graybeard.
Sure. So I'm a doctor of emergency medicine. I live here in Texas. I had a 32-year military career, retired out of Fort Hood as the chief of emergency medicine there in 2016. Had a weird path to get to where I am now. I was graduated bottom of my class in high school. I was an infantry ranger for 4 years. Got out, thought I might have wanted to be maybe in federal law enforcement. That didn't quite work out. I was in the SF Guard, mobilized. Then I was an 18 Charlie Special Forces engineer sergeant. Went to the medic course later, became an 18 Delta Special Forces medic. And then that was the path that ultimately led me to go to medical school, go to EM residency. And then I went back to the SOF community. I was assigned to the Joint Medical Augmentation Unit, did 6 years and 5 deployments with them.
Right on. And then how's Graybeard fit into that?
Yeah. So the way Graybeard fits into that, and kind of Graybeard in the book as a whole, is I was an intern at age 40. So I was, obviously, and we had a pretty seasoned residency class. We had a lot of prior service guys, but I was still the oldest in my residency class. So that was when I first started to really notice my 40-year-old body is not my 30-year-old body, and, sleep deprivation and eating crap and not working out, and then not working out for 2 months. And then trying to say, all right, I'm going to go balls to the walls for a week and blow all the gunk out of my carburetor. Then I'm going to be fine. That didn't work anymore. And I couldn't really focus on it because I was in residency. But then about 2/3 of the way through residency, I got the call that I was going to interview and potentially be assigned to the JMAO. And I knew what that entailed. That entailed support, directly supporting tier 1 units. So I was going to have to be physically fit again. I knew I was going to be kitting up again. And, I wasn't going to be working in a tent somewhere in scrubs and, going to karaoke night on the fob. This was going to be a hard job. So I found out, in finding out that my body didn't recover in the way that it used to, I started to do research. I found a good use for all my medical education, figuring out why is it harder to recover? What are my issues here? What do I need to focus on? And I talked to everybody from exercise physiologists to nutritionists. And also at the same time, I was looking up supplements and things of that nature. So I figured out a recipe for it. And I talk about it in the book that, I was able to go out on target with 18, 19-year-old Rangers, keep up on movements, never fell behind during a firefight or anything like that. And I realized, hey, this is a pretty good recipe. And then as I started to have a little bit of a public persona through my podcast and other things, people started to reach out and ask questions. And I realized they were all the questions that I had already asked myself. So I was kind of regurgitating a lot of this information. So I had it in emails, I had it in podcasts. And I just went ahead and compressed it all in a book, and I formed a brand around it. Really, the Graybeard Performance brand was because I didn't like having to go to the Vitamin Shop or one of these other chain stores and having to piecemeal what I knew were the supplements that worked in the amounts that I needed them. I was like, why can't these all be in one pill? And then I realized, hey, I can just put these all in one pill, and I can slap my own brand on it, and I'll give people what they need. And it'll only be stuff that has clinical trials behind it. They won't be paying for all that stuff that doesn't work. So that was the big impetus behind that.
Yeah, man. I hear you say I got to talk offline with you because I have a bottom drawer on my nightstand.
Uh-huh.
It's like
overflowing.
It's embarrassing. I'd be embarrassed for anybody to see like how many different variety of vitamins. Because I used to never be into vitamin. I'm like, I don't need that. I'm just going to eat good quality food.
Right.
The truth is, like, I've really come to learn that, in 2021, like our planet doesn't have good quality nutrient dense food anymore.
No, it really doesn't.
Supplement.
Yeah, it's all this, the studies come out all the time, and they talk about, well, you really should be getting everything from your food. Well, one thing I found in going back and looking at these studies was, for the most part, they were looking at people that were getting a good balanced diet, not what 80% of Americans are eating, right? And they were looking at averages. They weren't looking at people that wanted to be outliers, people like you who, hey, I still want to kick ass. I'm still going to get on the mat and do it. And I'm still going to go in the training room with guys who are, 30 years my junior, and I'm going to show them what's up. And that's not who they were studying in all these studies. And that's why their data was skewed the way it was. But like I say, I only looked up supplements that did, things that have clinical proof behind them, things like bioperin and turmeric and other things. We can probably thin out that bottom drawer if we have a talk.
I mean, I just feel like I have to take all these things, and I've, through the years of doing it, I know what works for me and what doesn't. I mean, I went through phases to where I like, okay, I'm going to pull this out. Okay. Nothing changed. So I'll keep this one out.
Right.
Pull this one out. Whoa, something changed. So I'm going to, but yeah, I've adjusted through years. So I feel like I kind of have my regimen. And I think anybody that trains a lot, especially at our age, has their regimen of what they do and know what works for them.
Yeah.
Yeah. But you're right. I had to got a big giant case of it. Why couldn't they all be in one pill?
Yeah. And that's my goal. I have 2 supplements out now. Ultimately, I have plans for 7, at least 7 total. And all of them will be very specific for very specific needs. Not every guy is going to need every supplement in the line, but I think most people would find they got at least something out of each and every one of them. Yeah.
I think one of the biggest things that I've experienced probably at 40 and above. So, not saying it to plug your book, Fun Your Edge as a man over 40, but for me, it was about 40 was that I started really battling with inflammation.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Really prohibited me from healing. It made me not feel optimal. Just weigh me down. And just inflammation has been probably one of the biggest factors for me. And looking at, foods that I eat that, I started going, lower sodium and then, what I eat, drink, and then the supplements that I put in my body, all really seem to be focused on reducing inflammation in my body. Yeah.
I feel if I get, I used to really boo-hoo the whole gluten thing, but I have noticed a difference if I'm ingesting, gluten, which most of the things I eat don't have it. And when I do get some, I feel it the next day. Same with refined sugar. If I get a lot of refined sugar, I go to a party and I eat a slice of birthday cake, I am jacked the whole next day. I just feel awful. I call it a food hangover. And, I'm not overeating and eating huge portions. It's just, I've conditioned my body at this point to be pretty accustomed to getting pretty healthy food. And when I stray off that path, I really feel it. Inflammation is huge for guys like you and me, not only because of the chronic issues that we have, but because we're still, like I say, still getting after it, still training. And, that will really hamper you and it hinders you. And because of the discomfort of the inflammation, you move in ways that are unnatural. And then you actually cause other chronic injuries. So that's why longevity formula was the first thing that I wanted to launch, because it has two different elements in it that are all about anti-inflammation, and then everything else in it aids in your soft tissue healing. So which is huge for guys like us.
Yeah. So I was wanting to bring up, kind of a recent thing for me is, people that follow me know I've we working on an Afghanistan evacuation effort with a mutual friend of ours, Tim, and
Yep.
we started to save our allies. So man, when that spun up, I was pretty motivated because I'm like, I'm going to get my friend. That started for me wanting to go get my interpreter.
Yeah.
Get him. And so like there's a lot of motivation, but there was a point to where that motivation like hit a reality. Like I'm about to get on a plane and fly over to get people out of Afghanistan. And the last time, I'm flying to Dubai, and the last time I came out of Dubai, I was in bad shape. Like, what is my body gonna do when I get back from, like again, the last time I came out of there, I was panic attacks and it's falling apart. And now I'm gonna go back there. What's my body gonna do physiologically when I'm gonna be without sleep? Because I knew we would probably not be sleeping much. As I was heading over there, I was already probably like 5 days into sleep deprivation from just putting planning together. How I'm going to perform without sleep. If I had injured the day I bought my plane ticket, 2 days before I left, I snapped my longus muscle, which is your major groin muscle. I know you know that, but listen, your major groin muscle. I snapped it off the bone. I got an MRI the next morning. Attached. You need emergency surgery. I said I'm not going to get emergency surgery. My questions to the doctor was, my friend Dr. Holmes. He had a close friend that's the head surgeon for the Vikings. And luckily, because of that relationship, I was able to know right away, and ask these questions. I said, if I have to run to or from something, am I gonna be a failure, fall on the ground, or people gonna have to help me and make their situation worse? Or two, is it going to make it worse? And his answers were, it's gonna hurt a lot, but it won't make it worse because it's detached. And two, you have 4 other muscles there, so it'll function. Yeah. And so I was like, all right, well, I'm going. And so so now I'm worried about that injury, how it's going to impact me at this age. And it's all these factors. And I tell you, I was really shocked because I have to get 8 to 10 hours of sleep because of the way I work out and the pace that I work mentally working. I'm kind of that person. And I was just watching how my body was performing. All the other guys that were there on our team, most of them were older because we had a pretty seasoned group of special operations guys. And man, we went 14 days sleeping 1 to 2 hours a day, and everyone was functioning at a crazy high level, clear thinking. Our 3-man ground team, Tim was one of them. The other 2 guys, I can't mention who they were. I mean, one of the guys was he's probably right around 40. He was out for 8 days outside the wire. He lost 40 pounds, and he's not, not 40 pounds of fat. He was a lean, fit dude. Right. He lost 40 pounds of muscle. I mean, so all of us were able to just step up. And honestly, I didn't know going into it. I'm like, I had no anxiety, no stress. Those things didn't hit. Sleep. I was alert. I was ready. I had clear thought for planning and executing operations. I was pretty happily impressed with how we performed. And I'm not saying it in a bragging way. I think I'm saying it in a way that, if you're 40, I don't think you realize what the human body's capable of.
That's a point that I've hammered time and time again. And what you're describing of your personal experience and that other individual, it illustrates the larger point, which is, we've been sold this bill of goods by society that, okay, you turn 40, you're going to buy what I call a fat guy shirt, right? And you're going to wear a fat guy shirt, and you're going to play golf, and you're going to, what's that?
Velcro shoes.
Yeah. Velcro shoes. Right. You're going to take up, you're going to have a smoker on the back deck. Right. And all your concentration is going to be in smoking briskets and playing golf and, maybe brewing your own beer or something like that. That this is what we expect out of life at age 40 and beyond. And that's not the case, because although the passage of time is inevitable, the effects of aging are highly variable, and you can perform at a high level. I was going out on target, and I talk about this in the introductory chapter. I was on target at 48 years old. And if you would have asked me when I was a 21-year-old buck sergeant in Ranger Battalion, hey, what do you think it'd be like if your dad was out here? I would have laughed in your face. But I was the same age my dad was when I was that 21-year-old buck sergeant. So it's absolutely doable. Our bodies are amazing things. King Leonidas was on the field of battle at Thermopylae at age 60, for goodness sake. I mean, we can do this. So this whole bill of goods that we've been sold, that, pick out your recliner, like you say, and your Velcro shoes and get a golf cart. And that's the rest of your life from age 40 on. That's not the case. You can be high level fitness, high level martial artist, high level competitor at age 40 and beyond. And are you going to hit the times you hit at 30? Well, hey, maybe not, but you can be in that top quartile of guys your age, or the top 10% of guys your age, and beyond that, and even kicking ass on guys who were 10 years younger than you for a long time to come.
All right, guys, I want you to visit SaveOurAllies.org. What Save Our Allies is, it's an effort to rescue Americans and our allies that are still stuck in Afghanistan after the United States pullout. It began with me going to get my friend and his family, and it ended after me and 12 of my friends went there. It ended 10 days later, where we ultimately got 12,000 people out. The mission continues. We're going to continue to rescue people. We're going to make sure that these people go from the home they lost to a new home and a new beginning with a new sense of hope. We need to support this effort. We need your help. SaveOurAllies.org. We're sitting out Jock, like 2 weeks ago or a week and a half ago. The last month is like one day to me right now still.
I know, right?
We're sitting there, Jock. I'm looking around at the guys we have, and I'm like, holy cow! Like we had such a solid group of experience in there. Nothing against the young guys, but I'm like, that's the for what we were doing. That was the team that we needed there. And much older guys. Tim still in the guard. He's still SF in the guard, but yeah, we're the right guys. And looking around too is all guys that really take care of themselves. They're older guys, but they take care of themselves. And I think it's for that community. And then you translate it over to jiu-jitsu. Like, I still train Brazilian jiu-jitsu. Obviously right now I'm not training because I got to figure out what I'm gonna do with this muscle.
Yeah.
But I train jiu-jitsu almost every day, and I'm proud to say, and my training teammates are probably, someone probably listen to the show. Like I'm proud of the fact that when it's time to match up rounds, they're like, their palms start sweating and they're like, oh man, I got to go with Professor Robo. And I'm the old guy, but even the young brown and black belt say, like, I'm not the old guy on the mat. I'm like, I'm going to push him. I'm going to try to break people on the mat every day. Like, for me, I'm like, I don't know when it's going to happen. One day there'll be the old guy that's like the training partner you take a light on. But right now, that's not me.
I was on the mats with the guys from Code 4 Concepts this week. They came to town to teach an instructor course, and Chad Lyman is just a couple of years younger than me. And man, Chad just puts in the work like nobody I've ever seen. I mean, he pushes himself every day. That guy just never rests. And he'll tell you, if I take 24 hours off, I start to get antsy. He's always, and he makes the delineation between fitness training and proficiency training, and that you have to do both, and you shouldn't take more than 24 hours off of either. And that guy just pushes himself so hard. And watching him sling around guys who he's got 20 years on and they outweigh him and everything else, and he's just ragdolling them on the mat. I mean, it's impressive to watch.
Hey, so we both have extensive military backgrounds. And one of the things I remember as a young guy, I used to hear in the military was, mind, body, spirit, like this kind of trifecta of like resiliency and readiness. Now it's kind of, now I went to the 4 pillars: mind, body, spirit, social. And I think even SOCOM has this, has a 5th pillar.
Right.
So it's in their readiness model. But I'll just stick with the 4, right? Mind, body, spirit, social. Mm-hmm. As a young military guy, I thought that was so cheesy. And like most things in the military, you look at them and you're like, it's just a PowerPoint, points. But I really think, and where I'm at now, 46 years old, have a tremendous amount of life experience. That's one thing I think the military did get right, is these pillars of resiliency, right?
Yeah.
You have to be mentally tough. You have to be mentally prepared to do your job. physically, you have to be physically tough and physically prepared to do your job. Socially, you have to surround yourself with the right people, and the right people influence and speak in your life and help carry you, and you carry them and be part of that unit. And then the fourth pillar is that spiritual foundation. You have to have a strong spiritual foundation. And I know to meet you and I'll say that I'm a Christian. I know you are too. And a strong spiritual foundation is a big part of that. And I think if you look at those four pillars, and one of them is weak, when I speak a lot, I talk about like this, a stool, right? If you have four legs on a stool and one of those are weak, you can balance that stool there. But as soon as you put weight on it, the weak one's going to go break and the whole thing's going to go crashing down.
Yep. Yeah. When times are hard, it's not going to be there for you.
Not going to hold.
Yep.
And so the forward thinking, the resiliency and readiness means intentionally investing in all four of those areas. And, unfortunately, most of us don't learn that until one of those areas crumble underneath us and we fall down.
Right.
That's what happened to me in that spiritual pillar, and why I'm so, my life is so focused on that spiritual piece of my life now, my relationship with Christ as a Christian, because I know that was my vulnerability. I've always been like, physically tough as I possibly could be for where I am in my life, as mentally tough and motivated. I always try to surround myself with the right people, but that spiritual piece has been kind of a flip-flop thing for me in my life. And so now at this point in my life, I'm just so intentional about that piece because I know I'm vulnerable for that to be my weakest. So I just want to talk a little bit about that. What's your perspective on, that holistic, pillars of resiliency and how, how someone can be intentional about that in their life?
Yeah, I think it's extremely important. And I get into all other than spirituality, which I did not get into in the book, because I actually have a whole nother book that's going to come out at some point that it has a little bit more to do with spirituality and kind of philosophy kind of combined. But one thing that I've noticed is that the people that I know in my life who have done the best under times of extreme adversity have been those who have been the most spiritual. Because it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter how educated you are, how analytical you are, how mentally, how good your mental health is, or how good your support system is, or how physically fit you are. When it comes to really extreme adversity, when you start getting into the why questions, why is this happening? Why is this happening to me? Why am I here at this time? If you're a spiritual person, you have the answers. You already have the answers to that. And, you're a great example. That's something that you lost and then found again, but it's become a great source of strength in your life. A good friend of mine now is having some very extreme health issues. And he called me to let me know, basically this was the phone call of, hey, I've got a list of people that I'm calling because I might not be around for another year. Like, that's how serious this is. But I wanted you to be one of the people that I called. And he was so calm with it. And I was at the point almost wondering if he was in denial, but I realized that it was his faith. It was all because he was a man of faith and had lived his entire life that way, that this was not a source of tears and frustration for him. And I think that's something, for anybody that's listening that is kind of checking all the other blocks and that's been missing. I don't know necessarily what a good starting point is, but if, walk into any random church, that doesn't work for everybody, but start looking into it. I would say find somebody who in your life who has that and talk to them about it. Not the person that goes to church on Sunday as an insurance policy, because we all know those people, right? Or not the person that talks the talk but doesn't walk the walk, but the person you think it's really made an impact on their life, and talk to them about it. And maybe their particular ideology or sect isn't right for you, but that can really help you understand what you're going to get out of that type of relationship and where you might seek it out.
Yeah. And I'm not plugging my book here because I'm going to keep plugging yours. But my book, An Unfair Advantage, I wrote that book to lead people in that journey. Kind of take them on that journey and help them understand, that's an unfair advantage, right? Having a strong spiritual foundation.
Yeah.
Speaking of books, I'm looking behind you over your shoulder and you have the Horse Soldiers.
Oh, you know what? I have that and I still haven't read it.
So
Yeah. Somebody gifted that to me and I still haven't read it.
the cool thing was, is, we talk about like us being old guys, and so we're in this meeting and everybody's we're in the summit that we put together, and me, Tim, and Nick, and Dan and Joe, all of our team are up, and we're presenting to all these different people, trying to synergize everybody's effort so we can be more effective, efficient, not walking each other, and then bring in people that me and Tim got hammered on because we met with the Joint Chief, and one of our team members met with Millie, and everybody hates Millie, was hating Millie right now, and it's like we have to meet with him. He's the Joint Chief, right? Whether we like him or not, we have to.
Yeah, you absolutely have to. I've got my own Millie stories, but no, I understand. I mean, he's the man in that position right now, so he's somebody you have to meet with.
Yeah, so we meet with all these people from the White House, from the State Department, and then in walks the run this probably early to mid 60s-year-old guy, and you can tell he's just super tough, and he's like kind of coming in like, I want to help, like I want to be part of this, and it's one of the horse soldiers.
Awesome, badass.
Let me in.
Yeah.
And that's I'm like, man, it's so cool. That's been one of the coolest things with the Afghanistan thing is we've gotten thousands and thousands of emails for help. But the emails that we got from every veteran in America, like, put me in, like, fat guys squeezing them in their old superhero suits.
Right.
But like, I want in.
Yeah.
Yeah. So if you want to get back in the fight, then read Mike's book and get ready. Because whether you're going back to Afghanistan or whatnot, life is a fight. And man, whether you're fighting for, a relationship in your life, like your marriage or a job, or somebody tries to rob you and your family one night and break into your house, like all those areas in life, you have to be prepared.
Yeah, and I wouldn't want to live a life without struggle. I mean, you don't want extreme adversity all the time, right? But life without difficulty would be flavorless.
Yeah, it makes us who we are. I mean,
Yep.
I tell you, like, what I do today, I've got to do a lot of cool things in my life. I got to, be in the Marine Corps and go make it to recon and enforce recon and serve at JSOC. And then I got to fight at, some of the highest levels in MMA and jiu-jitsu. And I got to do all these cool things, but the most important and significant thing I ever got to do in my life is working for Mighty Oaks. Mighty Oaks Foundation, serving my fellow, veterans and active duty military spouses and first responders. And then now, this was incredible at the Save Our Allies effort to go and help get Americans and Afghans out. Like, those are the things that, like, or the most significant things in my life. And maybe there's another chapter in my life that's more significant, but right now that's the most significant thing. And the crazy thing is, when I look at what allows me to do that, what brought me to be able to do that, what qualifies me to do that, it was not the successes and victories in my life, but the failures in my life, the hardships in my life that were transcendent.
Mm-hmm.
If I would have just had a life of complete victory and success and no failures and no mistakes, I wouldn't have been able to be in a position to start Mighty Oaks.
Yeah.
Very things that I believe, spiritual level, that the enemy, Satan meant to destroy me with, ended up being the foundation for being in a position and have a platform to help other people. And so I rejoice in those hardships and struggles. And that's one of the great lessons in the Bible is, rejoice in your hardships.
Yeah. You absolutely have to look at it that way. And I look back on the difficult times in my life, and I'm so thankful for them because they all led me. I tell people, if you're content with where you are right now, then don't look back at something 15 years ago and wish that it would have been different, because now your life now would be different. And that, I'm a firm believer in that. And, everything from, almost dying my first time in Halo school, because of a disconnected rucksack and a flat spin and broken suspension lines, everything from that to bad relationships all led me to where I eventually became right now. So I'm thankful for all of that.
We would never take advice. At least I wouldn't, from anyone that was like, hey, this guy's like, hardship free life, grew up with a silver in his mouth, that rich preppy kid that has no experience. Yeah. Like, who would take advice and life lessons from that guy?
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's one of the reviews of my book on Amazon pointed out. They said, would you take fitness advice from a genetically gifted specimen who has had, was going to some high school that had a high level football program and was getting state of the art training his entire life, or, some guy that it was actually pretty difficult for him. And then it got even more difficult for him because he got older and he had to overcome those hurdles. So, absolutely. That's, getting advice from people that have never had to suck it up. It definitely has to come with a grain of salt.
Well, Mike, for listeners, Mike's had to suck it up a lot. He's definitely have an easy road and has a tremendous amount of knowledge and experience and wisdom, and it's captured in this book, Honed, Finding Your Edge as a Man Over 40. Don't wait till you're 40 to get this book.
No, I've got 26-year-olds reading it, telling me they're getting ready.
Do it now, like be preemptive and understand now, because I tell it to my son's 25. I'm like, all right, you had fun eating that way. It's time to stop eating that way now.
Right.
Start taking care of yourself now, because I'm you later, and look at me hobbling around and
100%
checking my blood pressure all the time, and take care of yourself now. So check this book out. It's an incredible book, and be on this book. Mike's an incredible human being.
Thank you, brother.
One of the good ones. And so listen to your podcast. You want to give us, so I don't mess it up, where should we follow you? What do you want to promote? Your supplements, your podcast, all that.
Yeah. So my supplement and my life and lifestyle brand is Graybeard Performance. You go to graybeardperformance.com. You can follow me on social media. Graybeard Performance has its own IG account. And then I also have the Dr. Mike Simpson IG account, Dr. MikeSimpson, not doctor spelled all the way out. And then my podcast is Mind of the Warrior, which is available on all podcasting platforms, with which you have been on, my brother. So all those places and people, you hit me up on social media or you hit me up through my website, use the contact form, and I try to respond as quickly as possible.
Yeah. Awesome, man. Well, great having you on. We'll do it again. And I'm going to finish this book as I'm heading back overseas.
All right, brother. Appreciate it.
All right. God bless.
You too, man. Take care.